Now that Money in the Bank is behind us now, here's my Money in the Bank recap. Drew McIntyre winning Money in the Bank was a bit shocking to me, at least. I really felt Jey Uso was going to get that moment and win, but I don't know if I like what they did, but I understand why they did what they did. Now, yes, you probably could have had CM Punk come out and cost Drew McIntyre the Money in the Bank and prevent him from winning. I get that, but now they're including Seth Rollins a part of this story. So if Drew were to just, lose the briefcase because Punk had cost him the opportunity, you can't include Seth into the story because Seth Rollins wasn't involved in the Money in the Bank ladder match, right? So CM Punk cost Drew McIntyre the World Championship again for the third time, but in doing so, he also screwed Seth Rollins because now Seth Rollins, with that stipulation, that gentleman's agreement that him and Damian Priest had, he can't challenge for the world title anymore as long as Priest is the champion, which may not be for too much longer because most of us feel like Priest probably gonna lose to Gunther at SummerSlam, but anything could happen in WWE, right? Anything could happen. But looking at it hindsight, it adds more fuel to the storyline, more fire to it, because we know WrestleMania this year was going to be Punk versus Seth if Punk never got injured. Now you play factors and it all adds up within the storyline aspect. They're probably going to run a triple threat at SummerSlam because, Seth Rollins made it clear that he didn't want CM Punk back in WWE when he first came back. Then Drew McIntyre injured CM Punk at the Royal Rumble, which prevented him from main eventing WrestleMania. Drew and Seth also had beef for the world title leading into WrestleMania. Now Punk has cost Drew McIntyre not one, not two, but 3 world titles in one calendar year. Also screwed Seth Rollins in the process. And, Seth Rollins probably also going to blame Drew McIntyre for this as well, because if Drew had never come out and cashed in, Punk would have never came out and interfered in that match anyway. So the story all adds up, and from a storyline perspective, I understand what direction they're going in. It makes sense 100%. It's just, I feel like, with the Money in the Bank should really be used to help elevate other talent to really break through that glass ceiling to push through to become main event talent. And I felt like, not saying that it was a waste of the Money in the Bank, use, because I understand why they did it, but it's like, man, other people really could have used that more than Drew and to propel their story to where they got. Like, other people could have really used that Money in the Bank this year, somebody like a Jey Uso especially. So don't really know if I like it, but I understand it. It seems like there are a lot of people out there who are turning on Sami Zayn. I get it. He's that underdog babyface that continues to win, and that can be very popular or unpopular for some people. I was really hoping Braun Breaker was going to destroy Sami Zayn at Money in the Bank, but I knew it was kind of too good to be true type stuff. I mean, Braun Breaker to me has what you call the it factor. I think he has the it factor to him, but his time will come. And Sami Zayn, he's kind of the babyface champion, kind of how I felt about Seth Rollins when he was the World Heavyweight Champion. Like, Sami Zayn is going to be the champion that you're literally going to have to really beat down because he has so much grit as a babyface. It's going to be very hard to beat him because he just has so much underdog determination inside of his heart. It's going to be hard to keep him down. By far the best match of the night was the women's Money in the Bank. That match was sensational. Chef's kiss perfection, man. That was great. To me, Naomi, Chelsea Green, or Tiffany Stratton winning would have been totally fine, and Tiffany and Chelsea were literally the 2 crowd favorites that got the most pops within this match. But this match had everything you could ask for. It had great spots in it. It had great moments, had great crowd reaction, and Tiffany Stratton winning, man. It's Tiffy time, man. Y'all know what time it is. Tiffy time. Tiffany Stratton is a future world champion for years to come. She's going to be a multiple time champion in that division. She's going to be pushed to be one of the next top stars because she also has what I believe Braun Breaker has, and that's the it factor. Tiffany Stratton just screams and embodies a superstar. And that 6-man tag main event went exactly how I predicted and thought it was going to go. And I don't think some people really wanted it to go that way, but it was kind of obvious to me in my mind. The Bloodline had to win because it makes them look stronger, and Solo pinning Cody was the right choice because now Solo has to get a championship match at SummerSlam because you can't deny that to him at this point because he just pinned Cody, and Cody Rhodes has been very protected since coming back as far as who he loses to. He's only lost to 5 people and been pinned by 4. He lost to Brock Lesnar at Night of Champions last year but didn't get pinned. He passed out from the pain of the Kimura lock, and he's only been pinned in the ring 1, 2, 3 by 4 different guys, and that was Roman Reigns, that was Drew McIntyre, that was The Rock, and now Solo Sikoa. So this is a very good spot for Solo to be in, and now this makes him look more of a threat, whether people want to take him serious or not. That's just a fact. Like, you know, he just pinned Cody Rhodes. He's the champion. He's the top guy right now. That means something. That's a big deal because Cody Rhodes has a very high name value right now. So this to me was the right decision, and this is the correct move to push that main event for SummerSlam and possibly have Roman Reigns' big comeback that night. That's what I really see happening. Of course, we gotta talk about John Cena, man. You know, him announcing his retirement for next year in 2025, doing the farewell tour. I mean, John Cena was one of my childhood idols, man. Like, there's only two people I grew up and wanted to be like when I was a kid, and that was Kobe Bryant, God rest his soul, and John Cena. And John Cena is the main reason I fell in love with WWE as a kid. Like, just wanted to be just like him when I was a kid. And, man, my childhood just coming to an end, man. I felt crushed. Like, man, when he held up that towel and it said, "The last time is now," I said, no, man. Like, but all good things have to come to an end eventually, right? Nothing can last forever in this lifetime. So, man, just, it's hard to process, man, especially for me being a big Cena fan. Like, I started watching WWE before John Cena even became the guy. When I first started watching WWE, John Cena was still doing the rap gimmick. He was still the doctor of thugonomics. He was still United States champion. So he hadn't even won his first world championship yet. So I saw John Cena's peak through its entire, stretch. I saw it all. I saw him get pushed to the top. I saw him win all the world titles. I saw the fan reaction, the "Let's Go Cena," Cena sucks chants. And it's so cool now to see that he's so much respected now because he's not around as much. And I always knew it was going to be that way because they really don't respect and give the greats the credit they deserve until they're really out of the sauce. And, people hated John Cena when he was at his peak because he was getting pushed a lot. But now that John Cena's not there, a lot of people really understand his goatness and understand his, his aura and his name value and how important he was to the WWE, and pretty much helped carry the company through the PG era when WWE got uncool for a lot of people. And that was one of the main reasons a lot of people didn't like John Cena's character, because it was too PG and too corny and appealing to the kid audience. But John Cena for over a decade, was holding it down, and Mount Rushmore of a WWE superstar for me for many reasons. One of the main keys, and you really have to look at it and respect it if you ask me, once John Cena became that guy, you could say like 2005, for over a decade, once he got propelled to the face of the WWE, he never once changed who he was. And wrestling sometimes is all about reinventing yourself, reinventing your character and coming up with something new to revitalize your career, to make it fresh and to pique the fans' interest. Once John Cena became the guy, he never once changed anything about himself. Didn't change his gear, his gimmicks, he didn't change anything about himself. Remained the same for over a decade and somehow managed to become the biggest star in the company and the most relevant and the most talked about without changing who he was one time. That is very hard to do, man. That is very hard to do. That may never be done again. For an entire decade, not changing who you are, not one time? When you're the guy and you're getting booed and cheered, some people are just begging for this man to turn heel. Please, John Cena, just one heel turn for some people. Some people were so sick of this man, they couldn't stand, to see him on their television. And somehow he managed to stay at the top the entire time without changing who he was once. I don't know if that can ever be done again, man. I really don't know if that can ever be done again. That's going to be very, very hard to top, and that's why John Cena is one of the best ever. And the fact that he's retiring next year, man, it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough. So if you're a big Cena fan, you're definitely going to have to pull up to the shows, man, because last year is going to be it. And he said that he's not coming back. It's not going to be like, how some wrestlers leave and come back. Like, he said he's retiring the George, he's retiring the gear, like he's just gonna wear suits and everything after that. So you won't even see John Cena come out in like John Cena gear. Like, it's gonna be over with for real. It's gonna be a sad day for the C Nation, the Chain Gang. I go back to the Chain Gang days, man. It's gonna be sad for the Chain Gang, for the C Nation, for all the John Cena fans. It's gonna be a sad day. But John Cena's a legend. All good things must come to an end eventually. He's had one hell of a career. Overall, I give Money in the Bank about a 6 out of 10. I mean, it was an okay show. It wasn't like a great show, but it wasn't a terrible show either. I think some of us got our expectations up a little high on certain things. Like, I'm surprised we didn't get any interferences in that men's Money in the Bank. Like, no Logan Paul coming out to cost LA Knight, no Wyatt Six coming out to cost Chad Gable, no Bloodline, even though I didn't want the Bloodline to show up during that match, but they didn't even come out. And it was kind of weird to see no interferences. CM Punk didn't show up during that match either. So, and some people had predicted AJ Lee, but I never thought AJ Lee was going to show up like in that match at all. I didn't think that was going to happen. But I think sometimes we do get our expectations up a little bit high, and then when they don't fulfill those expectations that we have in our brain, then it becomes a big disappointment. But overall, the show was okay. I understand the booking decisions they made, even though I much rather would have preferred some things been a little bit differently. Like Sami Zayn, I'd have been totally fine with Braun Breaker beating him. I was 100% on board with that, but I get why Sami won, and I understand it. I understand it. Drew McIntyre, the Money in the Bank could have really helped propel somebody else up, but they used the Money in the Bank pretty much as a prop to propel a storyline to make it more personal, to add another guy into it. So I get that as well, but it does suck for the other people in the Money in the Bank who could have really used that, to become, solidified as top guys. So I get it. The Women's Money in the Bank was great, though. Best match of the night. The world title match was great as well, and that botch, 1, 2, 3 count with Damian Priest where he didn't kick out. I think probably Drew McIntyre's music was supposed to hit, but it didn't. So, of course, he wasn't supposed to kick out anyway. So that happened, and stuff like that happens sometimes. It happens. It's pro wrestling, and the main event was good as well. That went exactly how I thought it was going to go, and I thought it was executed perfectly. So overall, 6 out of 10. But now we're on the road to SummerSlam, and I'll be live at SummerSlam in Cleveland, so can't wait to see what goes down for SummerSlam. Can't wait to see the match they announced for that show, and it's going to be interesting to see the next couple of weeks of what happens.